All right, today we're going to cut through all the hype and get right to the heart of one of the biggest shifts in technology, AI agents. We're going to cover what they are, how they actually think, and the really crucial question of how to control them as they get more and more powerful. So let's just dive in. What exactly is an AI agent? And what is it going to mean for how we all work in the very, very near future?
And you know what? Let's start right there. If that term AI agent makes you feel like you're already playing catch-up, just breathe. You are so not alone. This whole space is moving at light speed, but the core ideas, they're totally within our grasp. I promise, by the end of this, you're going to have a clear map of this new territory, and you'll get not just the what, but the so what.
So why are we talking about this right now? Well, it all comes down to this one number, 66%. That's the percentage of companies that are already seeing real, measurable gains in productivity from using AI agents. This isn't some far-off future trend. This is a competitive advantage that's happening as we speak. Understanding it is absolutely key.
Okay, so let's get right to the big question. We hear the term thrown around all the time, but what makes an agent different from, say, a chatbot or the other AI tools we're kind of used to? Well, the best way to think about it is that they're not just tools anymore. They're becoming our digital teammates. Here's a great, simple way to put it. It's a smart program that uses natural language processing, that's NLP, to figure out what we're saying, and large language models, or LLMs, to reason about it. But then, and this is the crucial part, it connects to other tools to actually get stuff done, all with very little human supervision. So think of an AI sales rep that can qualify leads and book meetings all by itself, or a bot that just flawlessly manages your entire calendar. Now, this is what really separates an agent from just a simple tool. This is what makes them so different. A chatbot, it just sits there and waits for your command. An agent is autonomous. It doesn't need you to hold its hand. It's proactive. It doesn't just answer what's the weather. It might see you have a meeting in your calendar, check the weather, see it's going to rain, and then suggest you leave early because of the traffic. That's the leap we're talking about here.
Okay, so we've got the what. But now for the really cool part. How do they actually think? What is the magic happening under the hood that lets an agent go from just answering a question to actually getting a multi-step job done in the real world?
This slide right here shows the key breakthrough. See, on the left, you've got your standard large language model. It's a powerful reasoner for sure, but it's got this one big problem. It can hallucinate. It just kind of makes things up because it's locked inside its own static knowledge. The innovation on the right is the REACT framework. That stands for reasoning and acting, and this is the total game changer because it gives the model a connection to the outside world. It can use tools to check facts, find new info, and ground its thinking in reality, not just in its memory.
And the way it does this is with a super simple but really powerful loop. First, it thinks, making a plan. Okay, I need to find the CEO of this company. Then it acts. It uses a tool, like a search engine. And finally, it observes. It looks at the search results and feeds that new info back into its own thinking. This little cycle, think, act, observe, is what lets it learn and adapt on the fly. So I know what you might be thinking. This sounds insanely complex, right? But here's the thing. Building a basic agent is actually becoming way more accessible than you'd think. You don't need a PhD in machine learning to get your hands dirty. Let's take a look at the basic blueprint.
Really, the whole journey boils down to these 4 stages. And look, the key is you don't try to build some general do-everything assistant. No, you start with a super clear purpose, like, I want a support bot that pulls order data from our CRM. That's it. From there, you map out the architecture. Which model, which tools does it need? Then comes the fun part, building a simple prototype and plugging it into the real world. And that last step, it's the most important. You have to test and refine it over and over, using real feedback to make it truly reliable.
Okay, so we've got these autonomous agents that can reason and act and get things done. And this is where a very natural and super important question pops up for pretty much everyone thinking about using this tech.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What happens when an agent misunderstands a request, or hits a weird edge case it wasn't trained for, or is about to make a really costly mistake? Autonomy is incredibly powerful, but, unchecked autonomy? That's a huge risk. Well, the answer is this idea called human in the loop, or HITL for short. And the key thing to get here is that this is not about micromanaging the AI. It's about building smart, intentional checkpoints for the high-stakes decisions. You let the agent handle, say, 99% of the work on its own, but you design it to pause and ask a human for their common sense or final sign-off before it does something irreversible.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. These are real patterns people are using right now.
For example, you can force an agent to get human approval before it processes a refund over, say, $500. Or if its confidence score for how to handle a support ticket drops below 80%, it doesn't guess, it automatically sends it to a person. These patterns are the safety net that makes all this autonomy practical and safe.
Okay, so hit all is awesome for one agent or one workflow. But what happens when your company has like hundreds or even thousands of these things running around in different departments? Well, the challenge of security and just keeping track of it all becomes immense.
This chart right here just lays it all out, plain and simple. Agent adoption is exploding. 91% of organizations are using them, but less than half have any kind of governance policy in place. This is what's called the governance gap, and frankly, it's a massive security blind spot. It's like giving out hundreds of company keycards and not even keeping a list of who has one.
So the solution, the real solution, has to be this two-part strategy. First, you have to secure every single agent individually. You build security right into it from the ground up. But that's not enough. You also have to secure all of the agents from one central control plane. That's what gives you that bird's eye view, letting you see your entire agent fleet and enforce rules across the board.
And wow, when you put it side by side, the difference is just night and day. That before column on the left, that's a recipe for disaster. We're talking about tracking agents in spreadsheets, hard-coding secret keys right into the code where anyone can find them, and only finding out about a problem after the damage is done. The after column is the modern way. Everything's automated, credentials are in a secure vault, and you've got real-time analytics that can spot a rogue agent and shut it down before it causes any trouble.
All right, so let's just boil this all down to the key takeaways. First, agents are on new autonomous digital teammates that can both reason and act thanks to frameworks like React. Second, building one is an achievable four-step process. Third, human in the loop provides those critical guardrails to manage risk. And finally, real security at scale needs that two-pronged strategy. Build each agent securely and govern all of them from one central spot.
So there you have it. We've gone from the basic idea all the way to enterprise-level security. The technology is here, and it's getting easier to use every single day. So that leaves just one final question, and this one's for you. With an autonomous digital teammate that can work around the clock, what's the very first, most annoying, most time-consuming problem you'd hand over to it to solve?